Hello, I'm Ed Parrott. Welcome to Knoxville Real Estate Weekly. We've got a lot to cover this week, so let's get right to it. Last week, mortgage rates bounced upward, touching 7.49%, but then immediately started a slow drift downward. This week, they dropped to an average rate of 7.32%. This is at least not bad news, as the rate is heading in the right direction. However, I expect the rates to remain around the 7% mark for the next 6 months at least. In addition, jobs data isn't strong. Total job openings are down 4% month over month and 22% year over year, now standing at 8.8 million. While still a big number, it's 27% below the peak of 12 million in early 2022. According to ADP, private employers added 177,000 jobs in August. In July, they reported 312,000, and in June, a whopping 455,000. So this is a significant slowing in the new hiring. Wage growth is also slowing. It's now standing at 5.9% annual rate, down from 7.8% in September 2022. The Bureau of Labor Statistics released their report on Friday. Wall Street was expecting job growth of 148,000, but the BLS report showed 187,000 new jobs. This slowing growth should bring some cheer to the bond market, which will ultimately be good news for interest rates. A troubling sign, however, is consumer confidence, which has taken a hit, as reflected in the Consumer Confidence Index, which has fallen to 106.1 for August, down from 114 in July. Higher prices for consumer goods, including gasoline, persistently high interest rates, and a falling stock market contributed to this decline. Within the CCI, the expectations index dropped from 88 to 80.2. Historically, 80 or below signals a recession within the next year. However, the core PCE only went up to 4.2% from 4.1%. These numbers don't signal an increase in inflation, as other categories are trending downward, led by shelter costs such as rent. The PCE could drop under 3% on this month's report from the BEA. That would be good news, as it might influence Fed Chairman Powell to back off his relentless campaign to raise rates. Speaking of the effect shelter costs have on inflation, Apartment List reported a 1.2% year-over-year drop in August rents. And there's good news from the Fed. More doves are taking roost in the Fed rafters. Atlanta Fed President Raphael Bostic said, quote, "Policy is appropriately restrictive," end quote, and ex-Boston Fed President Eric Rosengren said, quote, "There's no reason to hike further from here," end quote, as long as inflation is heading towards the 2% target. Now let's dive into the broader economy. The GDP for the second quarter was revised downward from 2.4% to 2.0%. While not a disaster, it raises the question of whether the growth will continue if consumers continue to lose confidence. Turning to real estate, NAR's July pending sales index rose 0.9% month over month to reach 77.6, which was a happy surprise, as most people expected a decline. High mortgage rates and low inventory have been challenging, as the index has declined 12 times in the last 18 months. Note also that 77.6 is on par with 2008, and we all remember that year. The Case-Shiller National Price Index hit 304.64 in June, just short of the peak from June of 2022 at 304.82. The modest peak to trough decline of 2.7% has been completely erased, and it's almost certain to hit a new record next month. All 20 big city indices showed gains in June, with Phoenix experiencing gains for the first time in 8 months. So why are these numbers so important? The Fed wants more than just lower inflation. Jerome Powell's wish list includes a looser job market, meaning higher unemployment, and a housing market reset with lower home prices. Both of these factors feed into inflation. Unfortunately, Powell isn't likely to get lower home prices. In my opinion, it's his fault in the first place, as rates were kept so low for so long during and after the pandemic. Everyone, I mean everyone, and his dog was able to get a bargain basement mortgage rate. The result is that millions of would-be sellers feel locked in by their low interest rates, and new listings have cratered. As for the future, Powell is playing chicken with the economy. He hopes to slow down activity just enough without causing a recession, but history tells us it will be very difficult to achieve. Most major tightening campaigns result in a recession. Finally, let's talk about the mortgage market. The average 30-year fixed rate was 7.06% on August 31st, with the peak at 7.49% on August 22nd. I hope the number of doves in the Fed rafters will win the day and pause interest rate hikes, eventually pulling them back to reasonable levels. So, as with last week's report, we're still in for a wild ride, and I plan to hold on tight. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more updates next week and whenever a significant development occurs. Don't forget to subscribe so you can be notified right away.